What's up, guys? This is Brandon with Leather World Technologies here again, back with another leather video. Today we're dealing with some mold growth on this leather seat replacement. I believe it was probably in storage, probably got humid, got some moisture on it, and was never cleaned off, which promoted that mold growth. So what we're dealing with here is you can tell that it's stained the leather. So the main thing today, we're going to do as much of surface cleaning to get as much of the mold off the surface as we can, and that's going to be with our strong cleaner. And then we're going to move on to our mold cleaner, which will remove and kill any remaining mold spores to prevent any more mold growth on this. Now next, after that, since it's actually stained the color, removed some of the color in these spots, we'll probably have to touch it up with some dye, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Now you can get these two products individually, both the strong cleaner and the mold cleaner, on our website, leatherworldtech.com. We also have a mold cleaner kit, which includes both these products along with application wipes, gloves, which are very important when you're working with the mold cleaner. So that's got everything in terms of application as well. Now, like I did say with the mold cleaner, you want to make sure that you're wearing gloves. You don't want to let it you don't want it on your skin. You don't want to breathe it in as much as you can. Keep it away from any pets, just because it's just very strong to remove and kill off those mold spores. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. Like I said, we're gonna start off with a strong cleaner and then move on to the mold cleaner. All right, so we're on to the first step of removing the mold, and that is to use the Leathermaster Strong Cleaner to remove any of the surface mold. Get rid of some of that darkness. It won't remove it all most likely, but just to remove the majority of it. That way it's clear for the mold cleaner to get in, actually bite into the surface, seep into those pores, and eliminate those mold spores. So you want to take your strong cleaner, make sure you're shaking it up till you see that foam in the top of the bottle, and take a foam sponge applicator. What I like to do, I just like to rip a piece off just so it's easier to actually get it on here and foam it up. Just pour some on there, and then when you go to squeeze it, make sure you got a bucket or something that you can squeeze into, because it will drop some foam cleaner. So then once it's nice and foamy, go and get some foam on there, and then just rub in circular motions on those mold areas where you see that darkness, black or dark brown in color, just to remove as much as you can of it. Now you want to apply probably about moderate pressure. You don't want to apply too much, or else you might take off some of the color, but enough to work it in there into those mold spots. Spread it around some, make sure you're getting the whole area. And once you're satisfied with it, you take a microfiber cloth or lint-free wipe, something of that nature, to remove that foam and help with the drying of it. Make sure you get into any seams or anywhere where there might have been some strong cleaner that leaked down into it, like right around this piping here, just to make sure you get as much as you can off. So now we've wiped this down. Probably gonna wait another 15 minutes or so just to make sure everything's dry, and then we'll come back and put our coat of the mold cleaner on. You can already see, let me get another wipe in here. You can already see that the mold spots have decreased in size, and the color, they're not as dark. It almost looks like just a light stain in these areas now. So it's much better looking than it was before. So we're on the right track. Now the next step is just gonna be to put the mold cleaner on and ensure that no mold grows back in the future. All right, so on to the next step, which is actually putting the mold cleaner on. This is gonna remove the mold spores and actually help out if there's any mold or mildew smell. It helps to eliminate that as well. So what I like to do first is to tear off a little bit of a sponge and pre-moisten it with some water and just work that into the foam sponge. That way it's already moistened, and then shake up your mold cleaner and apply some on the sponge. And then go to just wipe a very light foam. Go and spread it around, make sure you're getting all of the areas that you see the dark spots, dark staining. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this whole thing just in case there's any that I haven't seen that might pop up in the future. Now you notice with the mold cleaner and the water starting to get a little bit of a foamy substance. So when you get that, you can try and lightly rub it in circular motions. Now we do recommend to let this sit overnight. So just leave this film of mold cleaner on it. Don't clean it off. Put it somewhere that animals, kids can't get to it. And then just let it sit. And then you can I say to do 2 light coats, 2 light applications of it, just to make sure the mold and all of its spores are completely gone. So we're just gonna let this sit overnight, and we'll come back tomorrow and put on another light coat of it. All right, so we let the first film of mold cleaner sit overnight. It was able to work itself into those pores. You can still see the staining, just like I suspected. It's probably stained the color out in those areas. So we are probably gonna have to do just a little bit of a touch up just to cover those spots. But right now, we're just gonna clean the film off that was left over from last night. So you just take your same strong cleaner, shake it up, get that sponge, some mold cleaner or strong cleaner in the sponge, foam it up again, and then work it on the entire panel or wherever you're working on. You work it into those spots again just to see if anything else might come out. If there's any seams, make sure you're getting up and down into those. Just go and spread it across this whole panel. And that's going to ensure that the mold cleaner film that was left over has been removed, and we can put a new application of that mold cleaner just to ensure that it's working at that 100% efficiency. So take your lint-free cloth or microfiber towel, whatever you're using, just to clean this strong cleaner off. And then say probably wait about 15 minutes just to make sure everything's good and dry, and then move on to your second application of mold cleaner. So we're gonna do that after I come back and make sure everything's dry. Put on that second application of mold cleaner, let it sit again overnight, and then tomorrow I'll evaluate it, see if there's any more that's staining left, and if so, then I will have my dye person Madison make me a custom color match dye to this, and then we'll apply it and hide those mold stains away. All right guys, so we're back at our final step. We have put that second coat of mold cleaner, come in, we've cleaned it off. Now 8 out of 10 times you most likely won't have to do a color touch up when you're working with mold. Now unfortunately, with this being a lighter green and that being the black mold, it's just taking the color out of those areas. Definitely by far much lighter than it was than when we started. But I've had my wonderful dye person Madison mix me up a custom color match to this leather. Is our Leather Dye Colorant. So you can always send us a sample if you run into the same issue. We'll get you a dye colorant, and then you can just simply touch it up, touch the whole panel up. That way it blends nicely. So we're gonna shake this up, and then I have a small little container here, just so I'm not actually putting too much on the sponge itself. Also, this is butterscotch. This is my assistant for today. don't let her near the sponge, or else she kind of goes a little bit crazy with it. So you just want to take a little bit, get it on your sponge, and then just start slowly dabbing it on. I'm going to focus on these mold spots here at the beginning, but ultimately I'm going to end up doing the whole panel just to make sure everything blends well and you can't even notice it. Just kind of spread that out a little bit and then start dabbing it. Make sure you're kind of getting into this piping too, where this piping meets the leather. Spread it out on the piping too. And then you just want to make sure you're putting on light coats. Typically it's about maybe 2 to 4 light coats of the dye. You don't want to put it on heavy, or else then you're going to lose your flexibility, and then in the future you're going to run into the dye coating itself actually peeling off. So make sure you're just spreading it around, putting those light coats on. Now with this fake piping that we have in here, make sure you get some in there. That way that's not a noticeable difference when we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this whole panel and then let it dry. If we need a second coat, I'll put a second coat on, and then we'll come back and y'all can see the finished product. All right, so we've got 2 light coats on. I think I did put a third one on. I just needed it mostly in that mold spot, but I don't see any mold standing there anymore. And I went ahead and put just a couple 2 light tack coats on just to help blend in that color. It was already a perfect match, but just to make sure everything in terms of like the sheen lined up, because we can't perfectly replicate that exact sheen. But everything blends well. I can't even tell it was re-dyed. That's exactly what we're going for. The main thing is the mold is gone. Don't even know if someone walked right up here and I told them they had mold on it, they would have never known. And instead of letting it air dry, typical air drying was about 1 hour to 1.5 hours of our dye colorant, but I just used a hair dryer on low heat just to help speed that up. And just get through the process, just because I was so excited to show you guys how well it turned out. Really happy with it. So that is all for our mold video. So we're ready to put this back on our chairs. Mold's gone, color's touched up, so we're good to go. So we used the Leathermaster Strong Cleaner, the Leathermaster Mold Cleaner, and Leather World Technologies Dye Colorant, along with my very helpful color matcher Madison to make this happen. You can find all of these products, not Madison, on our website leatherworldtech.com. If you have any questions, email us at sales@leatherworldtech.com or give us a call at 540-265-9038. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. It really helps us out. Really excited to keep going and bring you all our leather videos. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.